Welcome back. I hope you are having a great December, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. I hope you are having a really good time off work if that's what's happening for you. I wanted to have more content out for Christmas before I went away. But this is actually the only content I will have for this side of Christmas, just because I did record episode 3 and 4 of the Let's Play series, but decided to make the hard decision of not going ahead with it, just because it's quite exhausting. I've been sick a lot, and I think I'm just going to focus on my builds for now and stick with that. I miss building a lot. I did the collaboration build with Tito, and that was awesome, and that brought me back into the mindset of doing my builds again. So I will be continuing that into the new year, and fingers crossed for no more sickness like I did. But we're starting this build off with a area for reindeers. We don't actually have reindeers in the game, obviously. That would be awesome, but we don't. So I've opted for some Moulin in replace, and some adult Moulin, because otherwise the baby Moulin don't have little horns, and I can't use them as the antlers for the reindeer. So yeah, I don't know why I said horns, I meant antlers, but yeah, I wanted to say I got really annoyed with the fence locking or snapping onto the wall there. I really wanted it to just kind of chill without it snapping on. I wish there was an option to just switch between. But I'm basically setting up all the pens for the reindeers. There's 9 reindeers, 9 of Santa's reindeers. So, I set up 9 pens, and I did a sort of like shelf thing at the back, which I wanted to say was holding their food, or like, that was my original idea, but then I went into it with the idea that I made a cute little pop plant thing, and yeah, it was definitely an experience. You can't see, but the rest of my map, I tried this build 3 times, and then things just weren't working. The first time I forgot how many reindeers there were, and so it didn't work, and I had to rebuild it. And then the second time was the time that I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing, but later came back to it and was like, actually, what am I doing? And I worked out the shelf thing, and that was cool. But other than that, I couldn't figure out how to do an entrance. I originally had it so that the pens were facing each other, so their divider was the what can I say? The feeding tray. The feeding tray was the divider between each cattle pen, and it just didn't work. It was really, I don't know, like there was no way to make an entrance for it and have a side part where people can walk along and go into each pen, and I made them too big, and it got messy, and yeah, I was like, no, I'm good. And there was no way to have a proper shelf either. you just wouldn't be able to. It just didn't work, honestly. And so I'm much happier that that we're at this point now. And I'm just putting some destructibles on the shelves and from the clay and stone area, and then I'm putting some passage barnacle grass on there at the moment because I thought that looked like food, but it doesn't. And so yeah, I opted for carrots as the food because they were the closest to carrots. I was gonna do bomb peppers, but because they were the only orange ones, but I'm pretty sure they kill your cattle. So yeah. But I went through and I painted each one. I did a theme of brown and pink, peach. And I'm putting the meadow flooring on the ground in each one. And then having a wash basin on each pen as kind of that small divider thing. So it's not just the fences that are dividing. You've still got like a little bit of leeway in between each one, but yeah, it just makes it a little easier. And here I'm swapping out the barnacle grass for land kelp, which is great. I think it looks a lot better. I did try the grey on the pedestal, but I opted for the brown. It just looked a bit more, I don't know, I really love the keyword of natural. But it looked more ingrained. It actually looked like a pot plant. So yeah, it definitely felt a lot better having it like that. Yeah, and so I'm just going through now and putting some lighting with the roofing gadget. I use this tool a lot, like all my builds since this came through. Like, this is one of the best tools they've ever implemented, and now you can maximize the area that you can affect with the R key, or whichever is your rotate key. No, not rotate. Whichever one is your maximize button. I'm not sure actually. But actually no, I think it is R. Yeah, and then you can cycle between, just like you cycle between with the shovels and the hose and stuff like that. So yeah, here I am counting like a chump. But I'm counting so that it is even, except it's an odd amount of squares that I have. So I ended up going 5 and then coming down to 3 for the entrance, 3 tiles. So this is where I get to, I think, 21, and then I'm like, okay, 3, and then I make a decision later of, oh no, let's do 5 and go from there. But this whole section that we're doing now that I'm counting out, we end up removing it anyways to replace the ground. Instead of having dirt ground, we end up using passage ground. But yeah, I go 3, 4, and then I'm like, wait, it's not even. And we don't have any double doors, so yeah. Oh, but you saw it briefly. You saw it briefly right there with the fact that I did this multiple times. So yeah, if you wanted to see that again, slow it right down and you'll see it. But basically the only dirt ground that ends up staying in this build is actually this part here. We don't actually have any other dirt. I replace it with other ground. So yeah, it's I don't know. I love the dirt ground and the fact that it's covered in snow and everything, and that's awesome. But I also love the passage ground and the fact that even if you cover it up, it still has those kind of spores that come off of it, and it makes it, like later you'll see, it really makes it look like it's snowing. And it's such a good alternative to mold ground, where the mold, like you have to till it, like you have to hoe it, and then it still like slows you down if you walk over it. And it just, like, if you're going for a smoky effect, it's great, but if you're really wanting that feel of it snowing, the passage ground is just perfect for it. So yeah. And I was looking at the pens and I noticed that honestly they looked a bit bare. So going throughout and putting some meadow grass and bushes in there just helped it feel a bit more like cattle was actually in there. So yeah. But I decided against going with this fence. I did originally have it, but I really wanted to have something bigger. But the only alternative, like, you can't put a door with a fence. And then when you paint, like, the doors, the wooden doors, they don't have the painted brown texture that wooden fences, like painted brown wooden fences have. And I find it a bit annoying to have textures for painted wood fences and gates, but for some reason they didn't update the wood basic details, or, like, you know, the actual wood door to have that same detail. Sorry, not the wood door. The wood door has it. I know it. I mean, like, the wood stool and the wood pedestal and everything like that, because every other thing already has, like, when you paint it, it has a design, it has a style. So why not wood as well? Like, I know we have to have a default color, but, like, there's the default wood door and there's the default wood fence, but when you paint it, it changes design. Also, no, wood door doesn't change. It's just wood. It's just the wooden gate that changes. Yeah, my apologies. But yeah, my point stands, is to have a different style with the wood door would be perfect to have any kind of different style for that wood thing. So you can still have that basic texture, but then to have the wood style on top of it, I think would work really, really good. Just to have that other option. But yeah. We're venturing outside a bit, and I decided to use my favorite snowy trees of mold trees because they're the only ones that actually look like, you know, they would have snow on them. I really wish we could have, like, some sort of snow-covered plants, like when it's seasonal with the Christmas event and stuff like that. You know, there's snow that's on top of the statues and on top of the ground and on top of the core, but, like, to have the effect that, like, plants and stuff like that, or grass or something, have the effect of snow on top of it, that'd be really awesome. Like, I know that would be an insane amount of work to go through every sprite and, like, change it up, but, like, it would be amazing for base building, and being able to, like, create a snow biome that looks very realistic, because it just looks too picture perfect to have everything untouched. But yeah, I would absolutely love that. Maybe I'll do it myself one day if I ever have the time, but if it never gets done, maybe I'll do it myself. But here I am trying to do something different with it looking like the passage ground was integrated with the snow ground, but it just wasn't working, and I preferred to keep it like that, and I'm glad I did. It just looks like it's not completely covered in snow, you know? But I wanted to make sure this area was covered, but not too covered. Like, I still wanted it to feel like it was the background area of the tree farm, this is where the tree farm will be. And by tree farm, I mean, like, in where I live in New Zealand, there's a whole bunch of areas where you can buy Christmas trees. And they grow all year round, and it doesn't snow here, so it's super unrealistic for me. But also, it's summer in Christmas, so definitely unrealistic for me. But you can go and pick up your tree, you can cut it, you can do all sorts of things. I know that happens in America as well. Like, based on what I've seen of movies and stuff, like, you can go and cut your own tree, and that's awesome. I have always let my dad do it. Now that I'm no longer living with my parents, I don't have a big enough place to have a tree, and I do miss the smell of a pine tree. I miss it a lot. But yeah, just having an area here that comes off the reindeer the reindeer area, the reindeer stables, it just feels a lot more cozy, and like Santa or whoever is taking care of the reindeer, I guess the elves, has an easy way to get to the farm and chop down trees and send it off to the wood chopping area, and it feels a lot more, it flows a lot more. So yeah, I started doing this side as well, so that it's all together, and I didn't do it completely like symmetrical. The only thing that was symmetrical was the lights, but obviously it's uneven because it is 9 stables, so then there's a 4 and then there's a 3 amount of lights on the other side. So excuse me for that burp there. But I wanted to include the loose flooring on the ground, and I tried for turquoise before, but it didn't work. And then, sorry, not turquoise, cyan? Yeah, I never remember them. Cyan. There's cyan and then there's teal. But I went for loose flooring and I went with white. And later I end up doing some grey as well. It looks a bit more like broken stone pieces on the ground. So it's a lot easier. But I put some of the little stockings on each of the pens, like they would be getting a stocking for each reindeer. So cute. But this is where I remove the last of the dirt, and I try to do a bridge, and it was hard. I originally was going to try to do just a single like door thing, which I do end up doing. And I was going to try for the double bridge, the double door situation that I tried to do, but it didn't work, obviously. And I went for a red door because, it's Christmas. But the red door actually looks really good. It's a different design to the scarlet door, and I just made sure I put some elves in here because, they're going to be helping with the reindeers. And yeah, I I put down some passage ground to be the sort of like outliners of where the fence will be, and I kind of wanted to make some sort of like steps, but then I wanted to include crystal water, so I was really confused on what I was going to be doing at the beginning here. But once I got started, it got a lot easier, and I got more into the flow of things, and with the glass it just made it a lot better over top of the crystal water. And I thought I was going to go with teal and cyan, my two favorite colors. No, but I thought I was going to do that, but I ended up trying red and green, but the green is just too bright. Like, it's too yellowy for me to do it on top of the crystal water. Like, other water is fine, but on top of crystal water it's too hard, and I was going to go alternating red and green for fence, but I opted for all green fence once I switched the color to candy cane and did red and white, which was really easy. So yeah, once I got that down, it felt a lot better to me. I was looking and I was like, yeah, this is the one. Like, a candy cane bridge is awesome. And I filled in the rest of each side and realized, actually, I kind of want to do it longer. At first I was like, oh yeah, this is enough, but it felt too short to go into the next thing, so I extended it, as you can see here, and yeah, it feels a lot more like a bridge, and a Christmas bridge at that as well. And I wanted to put some Christmas trees, like some decorated Christmas trees that you can get from the event on the side. But as usual, I don't plan things, and things look uneven to me when I try to put things out, and it doesn't work. But here it ended up working. I just moved it up a little bit, and I moved these further into the middle, so to break it up. And yeah, it was just very, very cool. And I put some elves there to show that, they're working, they're chilling. I couldn't figure out where to put this other elf for the life of me. I ended up just not putting it in because it just didn't feel right. But yeah, I wanted to put some pillars on either end. I knew I wanted it to be red because the red and white have a very nice style that fits with this theme. And yeah, it's super fun. But I used the roofing gadget on the pillars, and here we've jumped ahead a bit. I was originally going to keep it in with the tree farm of actually building every tree individually going in, but it took too long, and my indecisiveness is terrible. And to give you an idea, I used a mix of the mold trees, the small cyan feather tree, and the large cyan feather tree. Or was it teal? Oh god, teal or cyan, I can't remember. One of the blues. Just feather tree, okay, that's all. But just the feather trees went in as the background. I was originally going to do the Zeus lush tree, but I decided against it. It didn't seem to fit the theme, but I did end up putting those feather trees in the back so that it looked like it was growing from like smaller trees into the big mold trees. And then I put a bunch of snowmen and snow pyramids, and then also loose flooring and some elves out there as well. And later we will be putting some wheelbarrows in there as well. And I wanted to make this outside section to go around the tree farm so that it was enclosed. I was going to originally fill it in, but then thought to myself, if I fill it in, I'm going to have to put more trees down. And at this point in time, I despise trees and really would rather not. And so I filled it instead with water. Just did some normal water. I was going to do crystal. I was thinking about it, but I ended up not doing that because I felt like it was good to have that crystal water as the statement, as the middle part. But yeah, to have it on either side would just be too much. It would be too overwhelming. We've had that before in the last year's build with the library, and yeah, it was too overwhelming. So yeah, I created this area that was specifically for wood cutting, so the elves would like put the wood onto the conveyor belt, or they'd put it onto the wheelbarrow and then take it to the conveyor belt and then put it on, and then the mechanical arm would do its thing and take it to the wood cutting. And that's as far as I got. Like, I was going to have a really nice dressing table at the back as a nice background behind all of it. But then I realized, actually, they're not going to be able to power the machines with the dressing table there. So it would be nice if, or even if the fact that you could put something on top of the dressing table. Doesn't have to make it work, obviously. I'm not asking for it to be connected or whatever, but to have a shelf of the dressing table, that would be really, really awesome. So yeah, but I decided to put the lever there and also a potted plant with some sunrise in it. And then I put it under, so under those is the metal grates that you find in the lava biome in the desert sub-biome. So I decided to put that there and then put the grey rugs, or the rugs painted grey, on each side of the corners, just to section it off, not make it too in the middle. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that everything was covered. But yeah, the wood cutting machine is there. I painted the mechanical arms black. I'm so happy that we can paint the arms now, because it is honestly tiresome to have the same red color, which in the future I do hope that we get some recolors with like the sprinklers, being able to paint those, the drills as well, even if it's just the scarlet one, just being able to paint that would be nice. But yeah, I made sure that that it's all connected, and that there's a double layer of a wall on the outside as well, just so everything's connected. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure it looked symmetrical myself, well, mainly for myself. But yeah, I really enjoyed the connection that I was doing here with the conveyor belts and with the electricity. I seem to do something different each time, so I'm really, really excited for the next time I do something with electricity. Definitely not anything like the people that are in the Discord channel and create absolutely insane things. Those people are, oh wow, they've got huge brains is all I can say. But yeah, I just do small things myself. But yeah, we're placing more wheelbarrows down and making sure it looks like it's actually a work area. But we move back on into the tree shop, and I'm putting the rug down to paint on the right hand side. We're just matching everything. And we're going to be moving on to the display area soon. Hopefully. Actually, no. We're putting down stalagmites in the water to make it look more natural. So that it's not just plain water and there's no levels or anything in the water to make it look like it actually has some life. But yeah, it doesn't look plain Jane basically. So I think moving in here now we're setting up the we're setting up the walls with the decorations. We use the socks again, and I want to pick a bone here because this wall decoration says that it says watch out for the candle or whatever, but they don't light. So like, careful with the fire. What fire? Because they don't light. Like, you put them on the wall because they're a wall decoration, but then when you put them on the wall they don't light. So like, what's the point? Maybe change your description if there's not supposed to be fire, or if there is supposed to be fire. That's a bug. I guess I'll report it. But yeah, having the snowflakes there are really cute, and I did the wrong design on the left hand side, so I have to get the snowflake back in a second. But yeah, I realized and I'm like, oh shiz, okay, no, I need to get that back. But I decide on getting some lights because it's actually really dark in here. I build with my light build most of the time. I switch between to see if I can see without all the light. Like, on my light build I have everything to the max like you can have for light, so I can really see, and that's why it's so blinding, and I don't have it all the time. But basically I'm putting down the Christmas workbench as some sort of some sort of bench that people are using to cut all the wood. And it did take me some time to figure out what I was going to be doing here, because a lot of the stuff that I wanted to use were only 2x2, or if they were a 3x2, but then there wasn't enough room for another dresser, so it was hard. That's for sure. And I end up finding some rug to go underneath here, and I do have to remove the dressers so that I can paint the rug underneath, because yeah, you can't paint it if you've got a dresser on top, which is quite frustrating. But I painted it the white so it just looks a bit more seamless, and it's not just that one little bit of carpet that's at the top. But yeah, I added some lush trees on pedestals, and then some Christmas trees here, of course, as you can see, to show off the merchandise. But we're putting the dresses back because, well, yeah, because that's what we need to do to show shelves. But we grabbed this Metropolis table, and it fit perfectly, and I thought it was a great centerpiece to literally put in the middle, and put a bunch of little tiny Christmas trees on there, like they could be a desk one. And then you've got my favorite, which is the snow globe. I love snow globes. And then there's the star as well that goes on top of the tree. But I just showed all the different snowmen, all the different trees you can get with the different decorations, and it brings a nice bit of light in here. And then wanted to make sure I had some elves that would help out at the shop too. So yeah, maybe they're the ones selling you the trees. But yeah, I'm just making sure that everything's covered. But I started doing the floor in this area and I realized that there wasn't enough room, like at all, to have big tables and chairs and have people sit down, especially since this was originally going to be a bakery. But I decided against it and I made a tree shop and I'm selling Christmas trees. But I still decided to have an area where you can sit and you can chill and you can just eat whatever is on the table and just hang out. And I created an entrance. There's no like other area that it comes from. Not making a whole village today, thank you. But I create some more light spots using the bigger tool on the roofing tool, and it's definitely a lot better than it was with no lighting. But I'm putting some throw pillows down by the fireplace because I feel like it would be a lot easier to just chill out by the fire. But I'm going for red and white theme instead of red and green because the green throw pillows don't really look amazing. The red ones don't look amazing either. I think it's just the sort of texture that's being used. The white ones look good, but for some reason the red ones in this context are not looking amazing. So I had a bit of a jig with the table and where the food was going. It was definitely a bit of a placement, but I decided on using some things here that it doesn't even matter whether it looks good or not, because later we accidentally destroy the table from trying to get a rug, and it deletes the table and the placement of the food. It was great. I loved it so much, and totally being sarcastic here. But I wanted to figure out an area for the candles because the candles don't light when they're on the table. They're just kind of there, which would be nice. But yeah, I wanted to do some sort of circle around the Christmas tree in the middle. You didn't see it, but we did have another go at the hologram pod. And put it in the middle to see if it fit the vibe. It did not, but we're always got to try the hologram pod because it's just who I am at this point. I just want to use my hologram pod, dude. He's so cool. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed because I thought that I could put Christmas presents on the ground. You cannot put Christmas presents on the ground. It'd be nice, but no. So I instead just put them on pedestals and we got rid of a few. But we have some really nice pot of flowers in the corners. I used the white roses and the yellow roses from the Valentine's Day event, Love Day, yeah. And I think, oh yes, I used the mix of the single candle from September from the Santa event, and then the multiple calendars from the Halloween event. So I'm using the the airy rug from the Halloween event on the left, that's that orange one, and then I'm using the temple rug from the desert. I tried to use the big one, decided against it. I only used it under the tree, which kind of gave it a bit more texture and a bit more character. But there it is. I sadly grieved the placement of my table from putting a rug down. But I painted it peach and it actually kind of came out good. It had a nice pattern to it underneath. and when painted it looked really nice, so I wasn't going to keep it the default. And it also looks like like a person blushing, so I'll take it. But I'm just decorating the table with some seats. We've got some nice Christmas seats here, and I did want to put in a few of the wooden stools as well, painted white, just to keep that red and white theme going. But yeah, it's been a pleasure doing content for you all this year, and I did want to say a huge thank you to everyone that has subscribed this year, has stuck around, and has just been overall amazing and checked in with me. But this is the end, and I do hope you enjoy, and have a good rest of your year, and I'll see you in the new year. Bye bye everyone.